tell you what, we are getting a lot of calls and a lot of requests to do deal evaluations based off of what's good, what's bad. And we've partnered with two fantastic companies to get this job done. Michael and I have had a blast on our news channel talking about deals. The Well Database and ComboCurve are two top tier companies, and we're using their tools. Michael, let's get started on our first deal evaluation as we get rolling through this project.
No, this will be fun. Again, as Stu said, we've partnered with two awesome analytics companies that we use every day to evaluate our own deals. We spend the entire Energy Newsbeat finance segment of our daily show talking about what makes a good deal and a bad deal. And we figured we'd bust through that black box and kind of show you guys exactly how we sit down and evaluate deals. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. All right, Stu. So this was a deal that was passed to us last week. Changed up a little bit about it, but one of the reasons I wanted to spotlight this deal specifically was because it gets us to kind of do the entire end-to-end process. We're going to have to go find some wells using our friends at Well Database, break down some specific Wolfcamp formations. We're going to have to bring that data into ComboCurve. We're going to have to spin up some single well forecasts, get an idea of what those offset wells look like. Then we're going to have to generate ourselves a type curve because these are permitted wells, Stu. These are what we like to call, as I mentioned in the intro, these are PUDs, baby. These are PUDs. So we're going to have to generate a type curve, create a single well forecast, and then build a scenario that runs through all of these different wells. And you can see up on my screen here, I've kind of got the high level details that we're going to need to do this. Okay, first off, we've got the number of wells. You see, we've got 6 wells. We know where they are. They're in Eddy County. We know the operator, Matador. We know the lease name. These are all permitted wells, so we're going to be able to actually go find these permits on Well Database. We know that they're drilling these in the Wolfcamp A, and that's very helpful right now because as we start looking at formations, it can sometimes get tricky to figure out what wells and what offset wells are in what formation. So the fact that we know these permitted wells are in the Wolfcamp A is going to help us dissect what offset wells we choose. We've got the working and net royalty interest, so we love ourselves a little PUD, small non-op working interest. Lateral lengths, Stu, these are 2 and 2, not 2.5, like 2.25 mile long laterals. Holy smokes.
Wow.
They're drilling all 6 of them right now. So you see spud date is 12/1. That's because they got 2 rigs running through all 6 of them right now. So you notice the first 2, the 205H and the 206H, those are going to be online here in February, or first FPD stands for first production month. The rest are going to be finished up and be turned online in April. We've got the gross well AFE at about $13 million. I mean, that's pretty crazy, Stu, to think about. $13 million get you 2.25. So that just gives you an idea. I think that's another, the first, I think we're going to throw around a lot of interesting numbers that people can kind of realize. I mean, that's what a 2.2 mile AFE is like. Between me, you, and the fence post, seems low to me. If I was, one of the things we're going to do is run a sensitivity that increases that AFE by maybe 500,000 and run it 500,000 below so that we can get an idea of what happens, because we're buying working interest here. So it's capital costs. So you're either on the hook for more, or you luck out and get netted back money if you're under. So the first thing we need to do is get net CapEx, because obviously we're not spending 13 million. We're spending 13 million times that. Oops, sorry. Everyone's going to be able to see my Excel skills here. So we've got that. Let's go ahead and bring this all the way down. So right now, in order to just buy this deal, you're going to need basically $1 million in CapEx over the next 6 months. So one of the questions that we're going to have to ask is, well, what are you willing to spend on this? Well, if you buy this deal, you're going to have to spend $1 million. So if you buy it for $0, you still have to spend $1 million in order to get in on these AFEs. So the real question that we're going to have to ask ourselves, Stu, is what are we willing to buy and this is what people call the acreage for. Whenever you hear acreage values, it really comes down to this question. Obviously, if someone was willing just to hand you this deal, you would still have to spend $1 million. So it's still cash out of pocket. The real question is, what is the acreage value going for? We know it's about 40 net mineral acres. I mean, that's just what we're going to assume considering this. I mean, it's just a safe assumption we'll make. I'll probably put that right there. Net mineral acres. I forget what it was. I think it was like 38. We'll just say 38 for right now. But point is, the real question is, what are we going to pay per acre? Which means, what are we going to pay for an acquisition cost? So what we're going to need to do is work through that whole scenario, figure out what our PV10 value is. We're going to figure out what our PV10 value, or the present value of the discount of the cash flows discounted at 10% for all 6 of these wells. And that number is going to give us a great idea at what the acquisition cost could be. So if the PV10 is $5 million, theoretically, you would be willing to spend, this is the economist in me, you would be willing to spend up to $4,999.99 in order to purchase the deal, because theoretically you would then be able to, at the end of it, have made 1 penny in return. Now, that's obviously not how you want to bid on things, but it gives you a great pivot point to tell you how much do I need to work down. And that's where when we look at the present value chart from 0 to 100, people, you hear PV20, PV25 get thrown. That's why people are discounting more than PV10 to make that. So without further ado, I think we need to go ahead and dive in here. So here we go. So all right, we're in Well Database here. First thing I like to do is let's just get to our kind of our base big view here. I've got pipelines shown, Sue, so those red lines are the pipelines. I think that's critical on this stuff. Let's go ahead and find this. So let's go. You got to have it, Stu. Got to have it. Let's go ahead into Wolfcamp. What are we looking for? We're looking for these permits in Eddy County, New Mexico. So there's a lot of ways to slice this. I like to just go ahead and slim down. Go ahead and just slim down my county. So we're going to come over here in counties. The power of Well Database is this stuff is just insane. Look how many wells are in Eddy County, by the way, Stu. Woo! That's one county in New Mexico, 37,000 wells.
One county?
Yeah, look at that. Okay. And we're also looking for Matador. So let's go find operators. I always like to use aliases because Well Database does a tremendous job of everyone's got 97 different operators underneath them. So I always, if you're using Well Database, use alias because it's really going to cut down and basically merge all of the different Matadors, which are the same company, into one. So all you have to do is search by MTT and boom, now you get the actual Matador production company. Now we're going to be able to see. So these are just Matador wells. I'm trying to skim down. Remember what we're just skimming down to these, the Simon Cavaletti. Do we have a legal description on them? We do not. No legal description, which legal description would just help us. I'm pretty sure it's one of these in here somewhere, though. So let's go ahead and we'll go leases because we know what the lease name is. Aha, here it is. Let's go ahead and bring that over. That's what I thought. There you go. So it's right here.
Wow.
So now that we've drilled into the permits here, and I'm going to assume these are the permits. So we've got them right here, Stu. We've got our well bores right here. We found them, and we've right now just sorted by Matador. But that's really not what we want to do. What we really want to do is, what I like to do is get a little map pin, and you can do a little trick. You can just right click right here. Let's get rid of tools for a second. Right click. We're going to add a marker, and this is our Simon. What is it called? Simon Cavaletti. See, this is where you just make stuff up. But boom, now we've got our pin here. Well, now what I want to do is I want to clear all, and I want to now see everybody's wells. Okay? So now here's where we're looking at relative to all the other operators, not just Matador. And again, this just gives us a good idea of, all right, what does some of the offset activity look like? Remember, we go back to our handy-dandy little assumptions page. And again, this is going to be provided to you by who is ever selling you the deal. We know that we're drilling Wolfcamp A. All right, well, let's go find some Wolfcamp A. We've got our, in my opinion, we've got, let's go ahead and drop this for a second. We've got our marker here in the middle. It's a good radius. So now what I like to do, first thing, we got to get horizontal wells. I don't really care much about the vertical wells. We could look at them, but in my opinion, really what we do need to do is filter by horizontal well. You like Matador, Stu? What's your thoughts on them?
I like them. Good numbers, good management. We have to go look at their stock and take a look, but good managers. I've known a lot of them. Let's see here.
We're gonna have to go to their page in a second. All right. So now what I've done here is I've sorted by horizontals too. So you see now all we're seeing horizontal wells, but We got to sort by formation. I need my Wolfcamp A's. Now, there's a few ways to do this. How I like to do it is you come down here to producing formations. You've got aliased. You've got reported. We all know people report formations they don't drill. Trust me, if you've spent any time in any one of the major data providers, they're doing two things. The reported value is what's being reported to the state. Nobody gives you the actual formation that they're drilling when they're reported to the state. We'll do some deal evaluation, Stu, when we go over to Texas. 4 different formations are rolled up into one called trend area. You have no idea what they're drilling. So the nice part about using a software like Database is that they're doing the hard work for you. They've gone back and tied back a lot of these reported formations to the alias formation, aka, we've got Wolfcamp. We've got things that are easy for us to go ahead and find and look at and very easily sort through the formations. If we go look at the reported formations, oh my goodness, Stu, they're going to be everywhere. You've got 45 different Bone Springs. You've got all this stuff. Upper Penn, Delaware. I mean, you've got, look at how many wolf camps are probably down there. Like, look at this. Multiple different WC, Wolfcamp, blah, 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 blah. Wolfcamp North. So it's hard to classify. The beautiful part about what companies like Database do is they go back and they tie back formations to us. All right. Well, let's take a look here because we're going to still need to know. I went ahead and found Matador's earnings. This is their earnings press release here, okay? Quarter 1? Quarter 3. So this is a couple days old, folks. Tip of the spear here. We go to page 37. Here's the different formations. And I always just like to look at this because it gives me a handle on, when they say they're drilling Wolfcamp A, they're really telling me they're drilling a couple different formations. They've identified Wolfcamp A, XY. So here, we're looking at a cross section here. And what a cross section does is
lower.
Go ahead.
Yep. They got Wolfcamp A lower, and then they've got the other wolf camps. I mean, you just can't say Wolfcamp A, boom.
Exactly. I mean, you've got multiple different benches here. We've got Matador will tell you they got everything from the Avalon down to the Wolfcamp A, which ironically, this deal includes some PUDs future out in the Avalon. We're not going to look at them. We're just going to look at these first Bone Springs. But theoretically, the area that we're in right now has 2 formations. The Avalon, which you see is above the 3 Bone Springs benches. And then you've got these 2 Wolfcamp A's, which this is where it gets, not tricky, but you've got to just be comfortable with some unknowns, specifically at this point. There's no more information we're going to be able to get. I can't call Matador up as a 0.8% working interest partner and get them to give me mass amounts of information on, hey, what's the actual depth you're drilling? It's Wolfcamp A, but is it that Wolfcamp A XY? Is it the lower Wolfcamp A? They're going to tell you to, go pound sand, dude. Like, we're going to drill the well. We know where it is, and you're going to enjoy the production. That's what they're going to say. All right, fair enough. So what we're going to do, Stu, is we're just kind of going to group these together a little bit. Part of the reason why I'm comfortable doing that is you're going to frack into, my assumption is they're going to hit the Wolfcamp A lower, and they're going to frack, and the frack is going to cross into the XY, aka the other version of the Wolfcamp A, as they call it. You could take a whole science class on the difference between the XY versus A. You've got the B, the C, the D bench. I mean, some of that stuff's more Midland Basin than versus over here in the Delaware Basin. But this specifically is kind of the assumption that we're going to use here. All right, we're going to assume that they're going to drill a lower Wolfcamp A. They're going to, it's going to 2.5 mile lateral, so they're going to frack. This is going to be a huge modern frack. We're probably talking 45,000 pounds of sand, 600 to 1 million barrels of water, and it's going to impact both the Wolfcamp A lower and the XY. So when we go over here to our formations, we're going to make sure that we capture everything. Okay.
Yep. So when does a Wolfcamp lower identify as Wolfcamp B? Just kidding.
What do you identify as, Stu? A Wolfcamp A, B, C, or D? I identify as Wolfcamp D. I like to be a lot deeper.
There's some humor for you.
There is some humor. So we've got our upper Wolfcamp, which we consider as Wolfcamp East. We're going to go ahead and come down here. We've got... This is where it's just fun. You get to scroll through and see even the ones that are aliased have, are you're coming down here to read. These are the ones that don't have the most. So we're going to come back up. We've got majority of Wolfcamp. Let's see if we can just find one. Bone Springs. Okay, Wolfcamp. All right, let's go in and apply and see what we've got here. We have a nice group of... This looks like 12 wells. What's our well count here? You come over here. 60 wells. Nice. 60 wells. Sweet.
6 million barrels recovered already.
Well, this is we've got 66 wells in our little data set here, and that's probably what we'll go with. Okay. So again, for any deal valuation, you got to be as comfortable as you are with your offset wells, especially in a PUD scenario. So you should spend infinite amount of time figuring out what your offset wells are. And there's a lot of ways to do this. What we should be doing right now, or what we could do, is work through each of these 66 wells and confirm whether or not they're Wolfcamp. The beautiful part is we like Well Database. We trust them. And I have confidence that we're looking at the correct upper Wolfcamp A's. And now, the beautiful part is we can now just do a little investigation. And this is what I love about Well Database is they make it very easy. They're aggregating all right here in this quick view right here. They're just aggregating all the stuff. So as you pointed out, total oil recovered out of these 66 wells, 6 million barrels. Pretty good. 6 million BCF. Average lateral length, 2,100 feet. That's good. That's good for us because that means that this is the horizontal length we're looking for. So we've got some really good offset comparisons. Right. What concerns me is average oil per well. Now, that's just average. It's a little low. 212,000 barrels for one well? I don't know, Stu. That's a little low considering 2.5 mile lateral and a $13 million AFE. But we'll work through the numbers here and we'll see what that looks through. You can see here, first permit. They really don't start drilling this about 2015. Decent gas oil ratio. A lot of water, about 2.5 barrels of water for every barrel of oil produced. I mean, it could be worse, could be 10.
Right.
And that's something that, I know you're on is the water production. And that's something we may have to do another deal on here, Stu, but the water production in these areas is going to be crazy. So now you can see some of that cum. You can see some of the production. I like to look at cumes. We love this, and this is kind of a normalized cume. We see some of these wells doing very well. Glock, you love some of these names. Glock 17. Permit, so you can see permit activity is heated up. You can see permit activity in these formations have kicked up. So it's a recent development, and that makes sense. If you were to zoom out here and kind of get a macro view, this is an extension of a play moving to the north. It's an extension of that play. So
11/13/2023 was the last permit date. Man, I love, look at that.
They've got it all. It all.
That is like,
so
October 27th was the last spud too. Yep. Look at that.
And it was. So we're comfortable with the offset. Let's go ahead and get our well list here and let's get it spun ahead and into ComboCurve. One thing we love about Well Database is they've got it ready. So you can just come in here, select ComboCurve, select the name. We'll call this Simon Cavaletti.
Did you save this Well Database to a project?
I'll do that right now. Another one of our favorite things, wells, add all to project. We'll come down here, create a new project, And we'll call this Matador
Deal of the week.
Deal Spotlight.
Deal Spotlight.
Eddy County Small Non-Op PUD.
I'm not as hyperactive as you are, and I'm a little bit slower. So I need to take more time, and I love sharing these projects.
Yeah, you're like a robot.
I just like sharing.
So here's how easy this is to open a project. Now that we've got this set here, we come in here to admin. We go add project user. We add Stuart Turley. We make him an admin. And now guess what, Stu? You can start poking around on all of those wells, and you can play data jockey for me while we get these spun up in ComboCurve.
I'm on my way.
Let's go ahead and log into ComboCurve, folks. One of my favorite things to do. Here we are. As always, let's go ahead and create a new project. We'll call this Matador Non-Op PUD. We've got our project created. Now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and add some wells. Create data import. We're going to go ahead and import another file, and we'll call this Matador. We'll call this Wolfcamp A, Eddy County. That's what we're pulling in here. We got to get the wells from well database. We did that right here. I'm telling you, people, this is how easy it is. We're just extracting these files. Now that you've got them downloaded, you've got the header, you've got the production. We're going to come in here. Boom, boom. We're going to load a mappings. Actually, I'll just show you how to do this here. Let's go ahead and just... So now we know what we would need to do is we need to map all the headers to make sure they fit correctly. But because well Database and ComboCurve have done the beautiful work of making sure they map correctly, we just get to use a big map suggested. Boom. They all head over. Map suggested. Boom. They all move over. We just want to make sure that chosen ID is chosen ID. One little thing. No one's perfect, guys, so you can't blame them. But that's the one thing you'll need to do. It's partly why you want to save a mappings, because then you can just have it saved. But if you have to click one button, guys, if that kills you, I'm sorry. But then once that's done, and this is beautiful, Stu.
Just take the trash out once. That's
We've got all our wells in here, and let's import. It's time for a coffee break is what that means. And the other thought about ComboCurve is, here we go. Perfect. 62 wells, monthly production. Got to love it, folks. It's all in there. File successfully imported. Let's go back to our PUD scenario. Let's go all. And now we create our forecast. We'll call this Wolfcamp A. PUD single, or we'll call this Wolfcamp A single well forecast. Or we'll call this field forecasts. Big on naming things right, Stu. You got to have named things right. We're going to check out their new UI filter, which I like. We'll go and skip the tutorial. They just rolled out V35. Love it. This is how we can sort by headers. One of the things I like to always sort by is has monthly data. So we'll come down here. And I always like to say, we just need ones with, I only care about ones with monthly data. So we've now curated our list down to 27 wells. And all of these wells actually have production. We're going to go ahead and create them. And now we've got them all here. You can see some of these are early. But we'll go ahead and see what we can do. We'll run some forecasts. And we'll see what happens. We'll make this monthly. You could go here and mess with all the settings. One of the things I like to do is peak preference. They're rolling out a new automatic function. We'll have other videos where we kind of dive into exactly what some of these parameters are, how to mess with it. But just know that what they're doing is they're fitting the model parameters from these ranges. So all ComboCurve is doing is running a bunch of different analysis to figure out what B factor between 0.5 and 1.5 works, both for oil, gas, and water, and specifically all your decline factors, 1 to 99. I mean, your range is infinite basically right there. So the point is they're doing a lot of the hard work for you. It's part of the reason why I don't really mess with my parameters, Stu. So now we've gotten, Stu, all of our wells forecasted, and there's going to be a few of these that, I'm looking at these 3 right here. These Burtons look like they were just recently drilled, but the rest of these look like they have enough production to where I'm going to be pretty comfortable with these forecasts. And this beautiful part about, again, ComboCurve, they can do the hard work for you. What you can do is come in here, add all of your wells to what's called this editing bucket, and then we could pop in here to the editing bucket and go through any one that we don't like. So, Burton, we don't like. We like that curve. We like that curve. It's actually a good curve considering there's no data. We like that curve. Any curves that jump out to you, like this one, it's probably underselling it, but we'll take it. Underselling it, but that's actually a really good curve. So I'm going to be comfortable with these curves. And to be honest, the curves aren't the issue, Stu. The issue is what's our type curve going to be? And I think this is a good place to stop. We're about 30 minutes in. What I want to do in this next video is get the type curve spun up and work through, all right, now that we've got our single well forecast for a well based on our type curve, how do we apply that to a scenario? So I think this is a good jumping off point. First little video here when it comes to Deal Spotlight. And we'll be back at you guys very soon with part 2, finishing this up.